Hey, welcome back, everyone. It is the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are part of the Variety Sports Network. And we have an announcement tonight. I'm just going to get right to it because
who's on?
Well, I've been.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Burner.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming in. As always, great to see everybody, and thanks to everybody who comes on the show live, who jumps on a little bit later at your leisure, as they say in other parts of the world.
George, hello.
So last week, you might recall that I did a very cheesy type pitch to the people at Bradshaw Bourbon in hopes that, maybe they would, come aboard with us or something. Think, hey, these guys seem to know what they're doing, which I don't know if we do. But I had a phone call with a guy named Jason on Monday from Silver Screen Bottling, and that's the company that does Bradshaw Bourbon. And I am very happy to say that Bradshaw Bourbon has come aboard the SCB Steelers Podcast. That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's right. So naturally, we have all got a glass of Bradshaw Bourbon, baby. Sip and enjoy.
I have mine in a Bradshaw Bourbon glass, by the way.
Wait a minute. I thought you had it in your Eaton Park Bradshaw glass.
No. That's beer. I have beer in my Eaton Park glass with Terry Bradshaw's face on it.
Oh, beautiful.
I have my Bradshaw Bourbon in a Bradshaw Bourbon glass.
Can't get any better than that, right?
Let me
just
Terry Bradshaw makes a damn fine bourbon.
So real quick, let me just go over a couple of things here, and then we'll get to talking some Steelers and stuff. Chris is already out. Could we get a discount? Well, it might be better than that, Chris. So here's what's going to happen. First of all, I made it very, very clear. We're not interested in money, because as much as we could use it to run everything we do, that's not what this was about. This was about us being fans, enjoying the bourbon, and obviously Terry, Steelers, it all worked. So I am officially coming to you from the Bradshaw Bourbon studio. And that is eventually going to be, I don't know if it's going to be here and I'll move the flag, or if it's going to be back here and I'll move Terry's picture down. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get a nice banner, plaque, something that'll be there all the time. It's going to be on the website, on the homepage
after his son.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, he was giddy, man. I'm telling you, he was excited when I told him.
Just for those of you that don't already know this, Mark named his son after Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, not Terry, but his first name is Bradshaw. It's true.
Well, yeah.
And you don't think we're committed? Shame on you.
Anybody that ever doubts me, that's where I go.
This was years in the making.
People name their dogs Rooney. I went straight for Bradshaw. In any case, to Chris's point here about can fans get a discount, Jason from the company was telling me what he wants to do is he's going to put up codes to get discounts, but we're also going to be having opportunities to give away some stuff, namely some swag. They've got some awesome t-shirts, glasses, hats, all that kind of stuff, and occasionally some bourbon. The couple of things that he told me that are coming kind of down the road here is the 12th batch of Bradshaw Bourbon is getting ready to go, and they're going to make a specialty label for that. Okay, so the bottle label will change just for the 12th batch.
That one's not getting opened.
No, I told Jason that. I'm like, man, we're pretty serious about that. We'll have one for the drink and one for the mantle, so to speak. Yeah. And then they're going to do a breast cancer awareness bottle in October that Terry approached them about doing. And then they're going to Terry with an idea. They would like to do a Christmas limited edition bottle with, I believe, 2 or 3 cigars, and the cigar wrappers would be soaked in Bradshaw Bourbon.
Oh my goodness.
So we have a lot of stuff going on. I felt bad for Jason because when he called and we start talking, and I must have sounded like a 6-year-old in Toys R Us. I just was like so giddy, and we just kept talking. He's like, oh, this is what we want, big commercial stuff, and I'm like, perfect, great, awesome. So thanks to the support of all you guys and for putting up with us talking about our Bradshaw Bourbon fixations all this time, and it's paid off. So you'll start seeing more of that stuff around here for sure, and we are thrilled, can't wait. And I'm just waiting for the invitation to Terry's Ranch now.
Right? Yeah.
I suspect
Any day
that's
now.
Yeah, I'm gonna look the mail tomorrow. Yeah. In any case, I hope everyone is well. Chris said he might have to stop his Joe Theismann Canadian whiskey. Here's a true story. You can actually get Captain Kirk whiskey. Yeah, Shatner and Bradshaw are good friends. Shatner also has a whiskey out now. So for you, you Star Trekians out there. Anyway, we are 2 weeks out. 2 weeks from today, the Pittsburgh Steelers will report to training camp in Latrobe. And it's hard to believe. God, some teams will be reporting next week already. I think the New York Jets, Hard Knocks, by the way.
The teams that have the Hall of Fame game, right?
I think it's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, I believe they can report
right.
Like they have a game a week early.
Yes, and then I think is it teams with new coaches can go a little bit earlier too, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
new coaches or GMs, which I thought was
that's a little
hokey weird thing, but whatever.
But yeah, we're getting closer. It's hard to believe. Somebody told me like today was like the official midway point of summer. It's tremendous. Yeah, and we're not just saying that either. Anyway, so
yeah, it's really tasty stuff.
Anyway,
your youngest is named after JT Barrett. Really?
Is that Aaron?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
JT Barrett. That's the best I could get. Middle name is Troy. Well, that's not bad, Aaron. It's Anyway, Hall of Honor. Aaron, Ian, you mentioned in the Slack chat last week that it's usually late July. The Steelers unveil who it is that is going to be entering the Hall of Honor. And
what's up, Claude?
To be honest, it gets harder every year because they dumped so many guys in at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's getting difficult. So they typically, and Ian, I'll let you take this, but they typically have a little bit of a pattern as to what they've been doing, right?
A little bit. I mean, this thing's only a couple years old. In the first year, they put everybody who's in the Hall of Fame in, and then anyone else subsequently who gets inducted into the Hall of Fame automatically goes into the Hall of Honor. So, and they've got some standards. I think like had to play 3 years for the Steelers and so on and so forth. There's a committee of people which Stan Savran was on before he unfortunately passed away, along with some other people. That kind of vote and decide these things. It seems like, initially they wanted to make sure that all the guys from kind of the old era that weren't in the Hall of Fame got their proper recognition and got inducted into the Hall of Honor. They have now sort of started to, move into some of the newer players, the players of my generation that.
The James Ferriers of the world.
Yeah. And that's even, I'd say, kind of the side. I consider like my generation that I grew up with, like the 90s and then the 2000s is kind of like,
talking about my
generation. But obviously Troy Polamalu got in when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. James Ferrier was kind of the first non-Hall of Famer from that, 2 Super Bowl winning defense to get in. But I mean, there's still a couple guys from the older era too that potentially, like a Ray Mansfield, a Robin Cole that could have a shot this year. I certainly think.
Is Andy Russell in yet?
Yeah. He got in, I think, the first
if not,
year.
That's a travesty.
Yeah, he's definitely in. I think he got in like the first year with LC. If I recall correctly.
Well, yeah, because they as you said, they did the Hall of Famers. You were automatically in the Hall if you made the Hall of Fame.
Was the first year 2018?
It was an 18 or 17.
Might have been 17.
I think it might have been
17 was the first year.
First year,
because Dan passed.
Yes.
In April. I wasn't there for I remember it now. I wasn't there for the ceremony, but I was there leading up to it. And I remember when Dan passed, they were like, "Yeah, we need this. Yeah,
need to do this like
let's
post haste." Yeah. So I mean,
that was 18.
Yeah.
What are some guys? You mentioned Robin Cole. You mentioned Ray Mansfield, center for the Steelers before Mike Webster came along. Who are some of the other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think James Harrison will get in at some point. As who was Defensive Player of the Year, multiple All Pros. So I think he definitely gets in at some point. I don't know it kind of goes back to the conversation we had last week about the Hall of Fame. I don't know what order they're going to want to go in for the outside linebackers, right? Are they going to go chronologically and do like Gilden, Porter, Harrison? Are they going to do like by who had the most career accomplishments, which would be Harrison, who has the team's all-time sack record for now, which we talked about last week also.
For a few weeks.
And so, Harrison and then Gilden, who had the sack record at the time he retired, and then Porter. You could go different ways with those three. I think all three get in at some point. I think Harrison's probably the most deserving of them, but because there's some recency bias over kind of how he left the team, I don't know if the group that votes is going to want to put him in first. But I think Harrison gets in, Gilden gets in, and Porter gets in.
Harrison wasn't a real douchebag when he left, and I just want to clarify that. Okay, Ryan's kind of shaking his head. Go ahead.
I agree with you, but the way I agree with you, and I supported him because I didn't believe any of that shit that came out. But the way Marquise Pouncey spoke about him,
right,
and Bud Dupree spoke about him,
right.
That was the year that I left. I was not there, but Pouncey was really pissed off when they interviewed him. So it makes me think something happened.
Even if all that shit was true, Marquise taking it public made Marquise look bad. In my opinion.
I agree.
In my opinion.
That shit in-house.
Absolutely.
And all Bud did was just kind of shake his head and go, yeah.
No, Bud said he was never a mentor to him.
Right.
And that's bullshit too. And I think they were all just pissed off that he
I know. And the thing that James Ben, responded to all that by saying, no, I'm not taking it personally because I understand it. It's hurt feelings. And I get it. I was there for a long time with those guys.
Yep.
And there are some hurt feelings now as a result. And I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not going to make it a big thing. He didn't respond really at all. That was his only response. Well, yeah, it's hurt feelings. And I get that. And I was like, oh, wow. James Harrison just said that. Holy shit.
So if we talk a little bit about that part of it, then what about the Antonio Brown part of it?
Yeah, fuck Antonio Brown. The way he left, I mean, my God.
Right.
He walked over that bridge with a gas can and a fucking torch in the other hand. And
absolutely.
He was running gas all the way as he walked along, and they threw the torch behind him.
Pittsburgh has 700 plus bridges, and he burned all of them.
He went out of his way to make sure he burned all those bridges.
Does that mean that he won't get in the Hall of Honor? Because as a player, he is damn well deserving.
I hope they make him wait.
Yeah,
is my only thought. I think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. They didn't put Troy into the Hall of Honor as quickly as they could have.
Right.
Knowing he was going into the Hall of Fame, it's like, this guy's going into the Hall of Fame anyway.
That was bizarre to me.
Why put him into the Hall of Honor?
Is it possible? Maybe that's what they're going to do. They'll be like, hey, you know what? Let's just wait until AB gets in the Hall of Fame. Then we'll be obligated to put him in based on our rules. And, and if he doesn't go in, then they're under no obligation to put him in the Hall of Honor, I guess,
Yeah, I want to answer a quick question that Chris just posted.
Sure.
Harrison did not trash Tomlin. What Harrison said is, no, Mike Tomlin is a good coach. He's great. I just prefer the way Belichick goes about running a team to Mike Tomlin, in so much as it's very structured. It's very much, this is the way it's going to be. If you don't do it like this, you're not doing it at all. Tomlin allows for a little more flexibility.
Yep.
He just wants the job to get done. He allows players to have some input, obviously. Belichick's a throwback coach. I mean, that's why I'm going to be frank. That's why some players have quit on Belichick.
Yeah.
That's why Tom Brady said, up your ass, and left. And when as soon as he got to Tampa, he was like, yeah, football's fun again.
Who was the guy? Not agree. He went to New England for a little while after spending some time with us, and I can't remember. But anyway, he talked about
Brown?
No,
Chad Brown did, yeah.
But I guess what I'm getting at is this: he talked about the fact that you didn't get a lunch break. Your lunch break was stopping by the cafeteria, grabbing food, and getting to your meeting.
Right.
If we were supposed to be together at 1, you were there at 12:45, not 1:00. Those were the types of hardcore, old school, like you're mentioning, stuff that some people great and some people not. God, it might have been LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount.
I don't think so, but God, who was it?
You know what though? It's wild to me. It is just wild to me that LeGarrette Blount couldn't succeed here, but he succeeded there multiple times in different.
Some people need that kind of structure.
I mean, and getting back.
I wouldn't say that LeGarrette Blount was unsuccessful in Pittsburgh. He just wasn't getting any touches.
Right.
And so he threw a fucking tantrum.
I disagree with the way he left, but I don't disagree with the fact that they probably should have used him more.
They told him they would. They told him that he was going to be their finisher. That game in question, Le'Veon was hot.
Yeah.
Le'Veon was fucking hot. And it was just one of those deals where it's like the hot hand, we're going to let him finish it out. And LeGarrette got pissed and, walked off the field.
And LeGarrette had a negative 5-yard carry on the goal line, and he was supposed to be the short yardage back. And that was kind of –
that didn't help either.
And you're right. Le'Veon was hot, and they were like, we're just going to stick with him. Le'Veon's an interesting case. I think he gets in eventually, but not soon.
I agree. It won't be soon.
Yeah, and I think part of it is too, like
such a waste.
The last couple years, they've only put 4 guys in the last 2 years, and Myron Cope was one of the 4 last year as a broadcaster. So, I think last year's class was Myron Cope, Sam Davis, who played on the line throughout the 70s.
Yep.
Ray Matthews, who was the Steelers' leading receiver for a while. He played in the 50s, and then Heath Miller, who was the greatest tight end in Steelers history. So, I think they've still tried to make sure some of those old guys get in, which is why I think, the Ray Mansfields of the world, the Robin Coles of the world have a pretty good shot.
Agreed.
The one other thing I'll note that I looked at sort of going through the list is, all of the guys they've inducted who are not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame played at least 100 games for the Steelers. Of the players, not necessarily the contributors, broadcasters, whatever. Myron did well over 100 games, but
Myron did way more than 100 games, man.
He cleared that threshold.
Yeah. But yeah. So when you're starting to look at names, that 100 games, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it seems to be something that Louis Lips has the fewest games of a non-Hall of Fame inductee with, I think, 108 or something like that. So, I'm
looking at the list now, and a guy that I think should be in there before James Harrison is Aaron Smith.
Seriously? Before Harrison? I'm going to disagree with you there.
Smith should be in.
I love Aaron Smith. Yeah. I love the guy, but before, I don't know.
Why not?
Because Harrison was a bigger contributor. He had more accomplishments. The year that Troy won a Defensive Player of the Year, he got
Harrison
18
was
votes.
third, I think. Yeah.
And Harrison got 10. I mean, it was split.
Okay, so if we're gonna talk about, okay, hold on one sec. So Hines is in.
Yep.
Hines is in, and we're talking similar era to Aaron Smith.
Yes, okay? Greg Lloyd is in, Joe. Yeah.
So played in. Okay, so you're telling me that Greg Lloyd deserves to be in more than Aaron Smith?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying James Harrison deserves to be in more than Aaron Smith.
Okay, but we're talking about going in like sorry, maybe I should rephrase it. If we're talking about like we're going in like order of playing.
Oh, you're talking about like chronologically.
But still,
guys
Aaron
who retired first.
Aaron Smith should be in over.
Eric Smith absolutely should be in. I agree with you.
He should
James
be in the
Harrison.
Hall, no question.
Yes.
Before James Harrison.
I don't know about
Before
before
James
James Harrison.
Harrison.
I don't know
You know,
about that.
We fall in love with that amazing, probably the greatest play in Super Bowl history.
Sure, but I'm talking about his entire fucking career.
But I mean, don't forget
I bet
Harrison.
That
you
game
if
in
you
2007 against the Ravens when he had like 3.5 sacks and
Yeah.
The
two
Ravens
forced
didn't even
fumbles.
try in that game. But
Oh.
I bet you if you asked the Steelers coaches who deserves to be in more, Aaron Smith or James Harrison, I bet you they'd say Aaron
The
Smith.
problem is,
Well,
there's
who
only
deserves
one coach
more,
left from
Casey
that
Hampton
era.
or Aaron Smith?
Casey Hampton.
I'd probably say Casey gets the nod over Aaron.
Yeah,
So,
but
I mean,
but they both
How
deserve
about
to be
Aaron
in.
and Casey both get in the same year?
That'd
Well,
be fantastic.
they
It
should
won't
put-
happen.
They won't do it the same year, but they'll all get in. I mean, they'll all get in. It's just when.
Yeah,
is the
Casey.
question.
In my opinion, Casey was the linchpin to that whole defense.
No
even
doubt
when
about it.
even when he had those days when he had like 3 tackles, it was just like, holy shit, that fucking guy. They had to like try and go around him.
You couldn't.
And then
move
you
the
had
guy.
guys from the outside that were pushing everything back in, and that was what made that defense so fucking good. It was like, where do you go? What do you do?
And let's not forget too that if you're a defensive end in the LeBeau system, your job isn't to rack up stats. I mean, it's just not.
Right.
You
Cam
know,
Hayward's
no.
job now is very
Especially-
different
Right.
than what.
And especially back
Yeah.
then, your
Exactly.
job was
It's-
to hold up blockers.
Yeah.
The 2 inside linebackers were free.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the defensive linemen do now is they actually penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
They're expected to get into the
Very
backfield
different.
and create havoc. So our linebackers now got to be able to stack and shed.
What? Speaking of linebackers, what about Lamar Woodley?
I think he's borderline.
I
think,
agree.
Yeah.
For a season
do
and a
too.
half, he was an absolute fucking terror.
I just don't think he was.
But it was a
great
season
enough,
and a half.
long enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's borderline for me. I'm just gonna run through some more names that I think will or interesting cases. I mean, obviously that whole defense from the mid 2000s. You
Really.
know, Ferrier's in, Camden will get in, Aaron Smith will get in, James Harrison will get in. Foote to me is on the fence. Ike Taylor's
Yep.
gonna get in. I think
I think
Ryan,
Timmons goes in before Footy.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
agree with
yeah.
that. Yep.
Ryan Clark will probably get in eventually.
Ryan Clark should be in. I mean,
Yeah.
like now, honestly.
The interesting
Like
one
right
to
after
me-
like
Troy
is-
yeah.
Deshae
like
Townsend, Deshae Townsend, of the players that aren't in the Hall of Honor, the most games played is Ben Roethlisberger with like 249. Gary Anderson, which that's another question of like, do you put a kicker in or not? But Gary Anderson was like the best kicker in the league for a while.
He was.
Cam Hayward, who will get in eventually, and then Deshae Townsend has 183 games played, and Ray Mansfield was 182, and I think Mansfield gets in at some point too. But like
Yeah, I agree.
Deshae
Yeah.
played a lot of games, but he wasn't a starter a whole lot. Like he was a slot corner, and
Yeah,
he
but that was like right at
very
the beginning
reliable
that was the
and-
right at the beginning of the era when the slot corner was becoming important.
yeah.
That was
Uh,
right at the
he was a-
beginning, and
yeah.
all those guys all talked about him as though they were like, "Look, if this guy was in another team, he'd be a starter.
Yeah.
He's not here. He's our third corner,
True.
but he's really good."
Yeah.
And
he
yeah, that
won 2
guy.
Super
I
Bowls
mean,
with him.
and he made some plays. I remember that Dallas game in Pittsburgh, and what
Yep.
was that?
Mhm.
Was that 2008?
2008. That was the pick six on Roma, who hadn't
was
thrown
the
a
pick
fourth
six on
quarter
Romo.
interception all year.
It was fucking
Oh, yeah.
tastic.
Yep.
Oh my god, I laughed my fucking ass off because I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys.
Well, that was actually Tony Romo's only career back-breaking interception. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, really? Is that the only one? I didn't know that.
I had
No,
these
you
two
know-
Cowboys fans sitting in front of me that game, and the whole game they were like, "Romo's never thrown a fourth quarter interception this year." And after he did that, I just leaned forward to him. I was like, "So about that no fourth quarter interceptions thing, you know, yeah."
You know, Yeah, I agree. I agree with that list, and I'm still gonna go to the grave saying Aaron Smith should
That's
get
fine.
it before James Harrison. But
Because
we
you
got-
like him better as a person.
We got our
That's all it
passions.
fucking
I like James Harrison as a person.
I get it.
He was much more difficult to deal with, but that doesn't mean
I'm stunned.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't mean I didn't like him. I just think that, like, if you're going chronologically, and like, Aaron Smith had 44 sacks, and we just talked about that. Aaron Smith played in that era where they're much different than Cam. Aaron Smith had 44 sacks in his career, and he didn't even have any in his final 2 seasons because he was hurt. He only played I think 11 games in his final 2 seasons. So in however many, in 99 to pretty much 09, so 11 seasons, he had 44 sacks, and in that system, getting 4 sacks a year, that's a big deal. And like,
I agree. Especially given their responsibilities in that system, it is a huge deal.
Yeah. And I do, and I don't believe, I don't believe everything that was said about James Harrison upon his departure. I think that some of that was a little bit exaggerated because I think
embellished,
and people had some hurt feelings because he went to the Patriots, right? He went to the fucking Patriots.
Yep.
If
he went to a Super Bowl with them.
Yes.
With them.
Yes.
Well, I mean, at the time they didn't know they're going to be a Super Bowl team, but it was like he was cut, and the next day he was in New England, and guys were seriously, there were hurt feelings, and he knew before he went that their feelings were going to be hurt, and he knew there was going to be some fucking backlash. Yeah.
What do you mean they didn't know they were going to be a Super Bowl team? They were the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, but
just meaning you don't know that you're going. I mean, it looked like they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but you don't know.
No. They cut him.
It's not like he went to the Browns.
I want to say he asked for his release in like week 9 or 10, right?
It was after that.
A little later than that,
wasn't it after that Chiefs game?
It was 2 weeks after the Chiefs game when he had that fucking monster game. They started him because they were like Eric Fisher versus James Harrison.
Pisses his pants when he sees
Look out, because this guy he just takes his lunch money every goddamn time he faces him. So
former number 1 overall pick.
We're starting James this game, just so you know, TJ. And then they played TJ a little bit on the right side. That's kind of how that started. And then he's like, "I'm just more comfortable over here. Can you just leave me on the right?" But it was 2 weeks later. He asked for his release, and like the next fucking day, he was in New England signing a contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I rooted for him the whole time. I rooted for him even in the Super Bowl. I know that's sacrilegious to say, but
I didn't have a problem with James' desire to play. Never did.
No, I don't have that problem with any
people
player.
who bash him for that. I'm like, come on, the guy just wanted to play football. He knew he was fully capable, and they weren't playing him, and he was pissed. And he was disappointed.
And at that, sorry, still Dad, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Ian's got a couple more names to throw out, but I wanted one other one. You guys mentioned Myron Cope. What about Bill Hillgrove?
What about Stan? Let's just talk about Stan.
And I was gonna mention that too.
Bill's alive, but
Stan might be ineligible because he was on the committee. But I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know how they're.
Well, he's dead now. He's not on the committee now. So what about now?
Oh man. Right. You know what? Yeah. I would say this. I wouldn't be surprised if they made an exception for Stan because of his impact in the Pittsburgh sports realm, but also his impact with and his and the respect he had amongst the Steelers organization.
And he was an original member of the Hall of Honor committee too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so and Stan might not get in this year just because of when he died and when they started the conversations, but I could support him getting in the future. I think Hillgrove will get in at some point too. I don't know if they put him in now because he's still working. Like,
what about
the
Tunch?
Tunch is in. I think Tunch is in. I think Wolfley gets in at some point too, just for everything he's done.
Hard not to put him in. He's been a huge contributor, obviously off the field too. But
so just a couple other names for on the field.
Wolf,
I
don't know that Wolf gets in.
I think he does with everything. With everything he's done post football career too.
Right,
the whole package I think gets him in.
Okay. I honestly don't. I think that Tunch was not as good a player as Craig Wolfley was. I'm just being frank. I think that Craig Wolfley was a better player. But neither one of them were super notable players.
No.
They were
also
good players
played in the shitty 80s that I
That's
don't remember.
that's
Right.
the other
hear
thing I wanted
about.
to bring up too, is about the guys who played in the 80s. Like
No, Santonio's not in, Aaron.
like your like your David Littles, your Brian Hinkles that played a
Yeah.
crap ton of games. Even
Right.
Gary Anderson, right?
Yep.
Played
Right.
a crap ton of games in the 80s, but like those teams were terrible. They were
Right.
like mediocre, but
They weren't
terrible by
good.
Steelers standards.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, but there were a handful of guys that got drafted in the late
Mhm.
80s, by Noel that
yeah,
kind of turned it around in the 90s. Greg Lloyd was one of them, actually.
Joel
Mike
Steed,
Merriweather
who I
had
think-
Joel
yeah.
Steed. Joel
Yeah.
Steed. Now that's a possibility.
Yeah.
He's a
I-
good nose
and-
tackle.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So, but those guys, like Hinkle and Little, I think that's a toss up for me, because like, how do you put those guys in ahead of like an Aaron Smith or a James Harrison who won Super
I
Bowls
don't
for
think
you,
so.
even though they're more recent. The
And
other guy
I'm
who
just-
did win
just
Super Bowls though is
being
Dwayne
frank,
Woodruff. That I didn't
Aaron
mention.
Smith. The thing about Aaron
the honorable,
Smith,
the honorable Dwayne Woodruff.
Yeah.
Judge
right.
Woodruff.
the thing that made Aaron Smith a great player was not just his physical ability; it was his ability to diagnose the blocking scheme
Really
pre-snap.
smart dude.
Yes.
Pre-snap. I don't know how the fuck he figured shit out, but it was impossible to move him. And it wasn't like, okay, yeah, he was a big, strong guy. I get it. But like pre-snap, he already knew what the fuck they were going to do. And when the ball moved, he reacted immediately. And it was just like, okay, yeah. And that's why, Brett Kiesel holds him in such high regard. He's like, that
Kiesel will get in someday too. Not
Kiesel
immediately,
will probably
but
get
someday.
in. I agree. Like
Eventually.
all those guys from that 2005 through 2010 defense, they're all candidates, all of them.
Yep.
Even Footy, who was, pretty good, not fantastic.
And you can't.
Clark Haggins,
He's borderline.
maybe not. Borderline, exactly. Borderline.
The thing about Kiesel too, though, and you have to remember that this is one of the qualifiers for the Hall of Honor, is like significant community impact, and you can't tell the story of Brett Kiesel's time at the
What they're
Steelers
saying
without
is
talking about what he did with Children's Hospital.
You get bonus points for significant
No
community
question.
impact.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And they threw that in there for guys like the Bill Hillgroves
And Myron Copes.
the Myron Copes,
Yes.
Mhm.
guys like Stan. All these guys.
When even Tunch and Wolf did the homeless shelter walks, to raise money for the what was it, the Light of Life Rescue Mission or whatever it was that they do the
Yes.
5K for or whatever.
Yep.
So
Timmons gets in for sure, Vinny.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He will get
for
in.
Timmons.
Yes.
But I no disrespect to Brian Hinkle and some of the '80s guys who,
played a lot
Played
of
an
games
awful
on
team.
bad
played a lot
teams.
of games, but
Yeah.
were on shitty teams.
What about Bubby?
No.
Fuck that?
Bubby.
Cordell gets in before Bubby, but I don't think Cordell gets in.
But that's what I'm saying. As
What
much
about-
as
What about
you got to put winners in a Hall of Honor before you put losers. I'm not
Fair.
trying to be a
That's a fair
dick, but
point, yeah.
but for guys like Tunch and Wolf, who didn't necessarily win Super Bowls,
Yeah,
although
Tunch came in right at the end,
was
right
Yeah.
after the
was
fourth.
Tunch
I
Tunch
think-
was 80.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
'Cause he
Yeah.
talked about getting drafted right after they
So
won their
they
fourth.
didn't win a Super Bowl, but off the field they were forces, and Wolf still is. They're forces in the radio broadcast. They're as much ingrained in WDVE as they are with the Steelers, and I think that carries weight. But
what about Merrill Hodge?
Yeah, I think Hodge is a possibility as well.
but he also, that's rude to say, but whatever.
What?
What?
He was like part of the League of Denial and the concussion stuff that doesn't necessarily reflect positively
League of
on
Denial?
Yeah.
that was the book, League of Denial. That's bad memories. I had to read that whole thing and photocopy and scan it. Don't worry, you get a fucking Barnes and Noble and get all these copies of it.
Okay.
Why are you
Yeah.
bringing
Well,
back bad memories? But I think he might be worthy, but I do
How-
think that
how
they
was
think
I
about
mean
that.
I'll have to ask you about that another time offline, but Hodge had a bad concussion when he was in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the doctor told him that if he was his son, he would encourage him to retire now. And he was like, if you get another hit like this, it's going to do significant damage to you. And you need to take this seriously. Don't just try to rush back in a few weeks. And he went ahead and he retired, and that was the end of it. He played like, I don't know, a partial season in Chicago after he left, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, wasn't much.
End of his career. But yeah, notable Steeler, no question. I don't know. I'm just trying to. I'm looking for these bubble guys,
and there's a lot.
And
of
I'm throwing guys out there, and Bubby's one of them. I mean, like equal parts brilliance with absolute asinine self-destruction.
I would vote Gary Anderson. Absolutely.
Fuck yeah, Gary Anderson.
Yeah, I think he's in.
He was the best kicker in the league when he played for the Steelers.
Yeah.
After he left,
despite missing that chip shot against the Falcons.
That wasn't for us, though. That wasn't for us.
Thank God it wasn't for us.
I know, but I was saying.
Yeah. Aaron asked about Santonio Holmes. I think because he was Super Bowl MVP in a game that they won, I think he gets in. He has to get in.
I'm going to be honest with you. There's a subconscious, I think, factor in Santonio Holmes' potential election here, in so much as he's turned himself around as a human being.
Yes.
And he's a much better person than he was when he played for the Steelers. And that being the case, people like him. People like him now, where before they were like, dude, you're a dick.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't make any mistakes in my 20s.
You know what? Neither did I. I was fucking perfect.
Absolutely.
And, I just ran a stop sign the other day. A cop was right there, and he didn't pull me over.
The point is we change, and hopefully we change for the better.
I think who the hell said it? You live life long enough, and it teaches you to live it.
Yeah.
And you learn lessons, and
what I'm
Craig said this.
Yeah.
When we were talking one day, he's like, wisdom comes from experience, and experience comes from making mistakes.
Yeah.
So the faster you fucking make those and get it over with, better off you are.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Santonio was, the cops busted him in a non-moving vehicle. Right?
With some
weed.
Clips.
He had some weed or something.
He had roaches in the ashtray.
Okay.
Right. But
he wasn't driving. Like, I think he might have been. Like,
he wasn't moving. He was
parked. Yes, he was parked. Like, whatever. And then I sit there and think, like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, my dad is a Pittsburgher through and through. And he'd be like, cops will pull you over, but they'd be like, just sleep it off and don't drive the rest of the night. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, it was a different time, it was a different era, but like, I'm not trying to be a dick and like make excuses for the guy, but like, he wasn't driving. It's not like he was like Le'Veon Bell getting pulled over on the way to a preseason game and being like, "Oh, I didn't know you can get a DUI because you were high." And it's like, what did you think the influence meant?
That was fucking funny, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't funny.
It was
hilarious
when you fucking worked there.
It was hilarious because I didn't work there or have to deal with the PR bullshit. You did. So for me, it was fucking hilarious.
I'm gonna say
all three of them smoking weed openly, windows open. Yeah,
I'm gonna say
wrong.
Here, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this real quick. As we talked about LeGarrette Blount earlier, so I picked up LeGarrette Blount for a pre-draft visit with Golden Tate. Okay, and I had a piece of shit car, Adam Sandler hashtag, and LeGarrette Blount sat up front and the Golden Tate sat in the back. And this is right after LeGarrette Blount punched the dude from Boise State in the face. And he was suspended. Dude, it was one of the best punches ever. Like, it was just unbelievable.
That dude deserved it too.
He
Like
did.
he was
He
yapping
did.
at him.
He's
I
being-
mean, like,
By the way, my Bradshaw bottle is empty, so our new sponsors need to.
I heard LeGarrette Blunt explain that, and if the guy actually said what LeGarrette Blunt said he said, yeah, he did deserve it.
to punch him
so that's all I knew about LeGarrette Blunt was this, and he was the coolest dude ever, like so cool. So, Golden Tate, if you're listening, you left shit in the back of my car. I don't appreciate that. You left like a chocolate milk and like a banana peel and like some other shit. Like, listen, I know it was a 2002 Oldsmobile Intrigue and it was a piece of shit, but you didn't have to make it worse. Anyway, we didn't draft him. He got drafted by the Bucks. But literally, when LeGarrette Blunt came back, he remembered me. He's like, "You still got that whip?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I actually do." You know, he's like, "Get a new one." You know, but we're like, but like he was fine. Like he was fine. And then like throughout training camp, you saw he had this influence on Le'Veon, and like media would want to talk to Le'Veon. He'd be like, "Nah, don't talk to them. Don't talk to them." And I'll never forget. After this all happened, we played at Philadelphia preseason, and we got our asses kicked again. That's the same game Troy Polamalu freaked out on the defense, and he was like, "You're Cam Hayward. You're from Ohio State. You're Lawrence Timmons. You're from Florida State. We're the Pittsburgh Steelers defense." And anyway, I'll never forget before the game, because that's the first time we didn't want to bother him at the hotel before the game. We went up to LeGarrette and Le'Veon, and we're like, "Guys, we need to talk to you." I'll never forget. LeGarrette Blunt looked at both of us, and then he looked at Le'Veon, and I said, "Don't talk to them. They're the enemy." And I was like, dude, I literally said to them, "We fucking work for the team, and you know that." Like, we work for the fucking team. So, you know what, LeGarrette Blunt, if you're listening, I'm gonna cheers you up. But you know what? You caused me some bullshit.
Quick reminder, we are sponsored by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And by the way, we also have a new partner on the podcast. Bradshaw Bourbon is now a proud sponsor of the SCB podcast. I got the wrong damn label up. There it is. And
I'm sorry, I don't have it tonight.
Okay. You'll have, buddy.
Wow. I got a newborn, and the trip to the store tonight was not in the cards.
That's all right. You shall have. Trust me. Let's bring it into the present. I want to talk a little bit about training camp and some position battle stuff, because I think there's a few curious things. And then I've got a question for you guys about Matt Canada that it's not a shocking question or anything like that, but I'm curious about it. Anyway, is there any chance that Dan Moore slides over and takes over for Chooks Okorafor at right tackle?
No.
If Chooks gets hurt.
Okay. Yeah. If he gets hurt, no. Scarps?
No, but I would disagree with Ian, and I would not be surprised if Broderick Jones does not get a hat week one.
Not get a hat at all.
Not get a hat or be a backup.
Not get a hat at all.
Whoa.
Wow. That's nothing against him. I think we're thinking of this as not rebuilding.
Okay.
Right? I think we're thinking that, I'm just going to be honest, in case you'll touch on this a little bit later about sleeping on this offense. I don't necessarily think he's going to get a hat. And
I think he gets a hat. I don't think he necessarily starts. I agree with you. Sort of.
Okay. So if he does get a hat, does he even see any snaps?
No, he won't. Unless somebody gets hurt.
Maybe
swing tackle.
Okay.
Maybe field goal, extra point, but
a swing tackle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Extra.
I don't think he gets a hat week one. And you can fucking mark this timestamp.
We haven't seen the guy play a fucking snap
I've already
yet.
got a list, Scarps.
We cannot make predictions like that. We haven't seen the guy play a fucking snap yet. We can't say he's going to be an all-pro either. And people are doing that too. And I'm like,
but that's what I mean. So I'm saying,
chill out.
So I'm just saying, I don't think he's going to get a hat. I'm just saying, I don't think he's going to get a hat.
Okay. I think he'll get a hat week one. He's a first round pick. They will want him on the field in some capacity. I don't know that he will necessarily be a starter week one. And looking at injury histories for Chooks and for Dan Moore, I don't know if he necessarily gets a snap on offense week one. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not talking shit here. I'm just saying not necessarily going to be a thing. I mean, Casey Hampton, year one, didn't play much first 3 games. Then they finally were like, well, fuck it. We got to see what we can do. Threw him in there.
So not getting a hat versus not playing any snaps. I get there's a difference.
There's definitely a distinction.
So let's can we agree? And Ben, I love you, you know this, but and I know we love disagreeing, but I think we can agree that he's not going to have as big an impact as people may think early on.
I agree because he's a very raw, very talented player, very talented, very large, very strong player.
Yep.
Now, if nothing else, and I was going to get to this later, but Darnell Washington is another one that I wonder if he's going to have a hat week one. And if he does not have a hat week one, it benefits, it benefits Broderick Jones from the standpoint that he can come in and play the extra tackle on rundowns.
Yep.
No, not the swing tackle, the extra tackle.
Like as
he can come in. He can come in and he can report eligible and be the extra tackle. On running downs.
Done that before
on power plays. Yes, he can be that guy on running plays. If Darnell Jones can play, excuse me. Yes, Darnell.
You're mixing the two of them up. I know they're very similar. Both went to Georgia.
Got a little buzz. It's the Bradshaw Bourbon. If Washington can play teams, and that's the question. Can he play a little bit on teams? And I don't know where he's going to play because I looked at Zach Gentry and his special teams plays, and I'm like, yeah, this guy plays like 6 plays a game, maybe 5.
PAT field goal. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Put him on punt team.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work. And again, this is a very good athlete who's very, very raw. Both those guys, both of them. That's the story on them. But if Washington can't get a helmet week one, it benefits Broderick Jones, and it gives him a helmet week one. That's my prediction. Fuck you, Johnny.
It's not a show if we don't get a fuck you, Johnny. Thank you.
And I'm just saying that is what I think will happen unless Broderick Jones really surprises us in camp and rolls out and he's improved his technique so fucking much that he's undeniable. Maybe. So Scarps, I kind of agree with you, but I sort of don't.
So real
you know
quick,
what? Just tell me to screw off. And then...
fuck off.
Piss off, Scarps. Claude, Dan Moore has been working out. They said he looked really good.
Yeah.
Definitely changed his body a little bit over the offseason. So we'll see what that means.
And he's not like
worst case. He's going to be our swing tackle when he's good.
Right.
He's going to be a good swing
this
tackle.
Could be way worse.
I mean, I really like what they're doing with this line, except at the center position where we still need somebody who's.
Maybe that's next year. Maybe
God,
that's
please.
the draft next year.
Fucking please.
You know, yeah.
And Mason Cole's not a bad center.
Nah, he was better than I thought he would be, but
he just isn't really good.
Let me ask you a question.
As the kids would say.
Yeah, Ian, if I asked you that question about, or actually just this whole discussion about whether Broderick Jones gets a hat or not. If this is back in the old days, so to speak, when there was 4 preseason games and contact was a lot more likely to happen in training camp, what would you say regarding Broderick Jones at that point?
Well, and I mean, think about back in even the old days, quote unquote, like Cam Hayward hardly played his first year, right?
Yeah, behind Ziggy fucking Hood. Whose fucking decision was that?
Yeah,
John Mitchell. That's why he got demoted.
At any rate,
I said that loud. That was my outside voice. Sorry.
even Ziggy Hood
Coach
when they
Mitch
drafted
was
him
a
hardly
legendary
played.
Fucking coach. I'm sorry. I have no fucking. I can't. I can't make that case.
No, wait. Cam's rookie year?
Yeah, Cam's rookie year, he hardly played.
Hardly played.
Ziggy Hood wasn't even starting back then. It was Aaron Smith and Brett Kiesel.
Yeah.
Cam Hayward's first start was against the Bears in 2013 because Ziggy Hood threw a chair about as far as I could fucking as far as I've ever seen somebody throw a chair. It zipped past my head.
Why did he throw a chair?
Because he got benched.
Okay.
Benched, man.
All right. I was thinking.
And we
there was
still
something else.
lost, and we still gave up like 30-something points that game.
They-
2013.
hold on,
sucked ass.
hold on.
Ian, I apologize.
It was not the defense's fault. The Bears defense scored 2 touchdowns that game,
Right.
if I
They did.
recall. They returned
They
a
did.
fumble and an
It
interception.
wasn't.
for a
It wasn't
touchdown.
even. It wasn't even. I swear to God, it wasn't even. It wasn't even.
It was
I
just
remember that game. It was.
It wasn't-
awful.
It was
I
that
there. It was
fucking
terrible.
game. The fucking Bears. And the fucking
It wasn't. It wasn't
fuck.
even Charles Tillman. It wasn't Peanut Tillman. Who was it?
No,
It was like Marshall something.
I don't remember who it was. Yeah, but they returned multiple.
Yeah.
They had multiple defensive touchdowns that game.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Bears have had our number for a long time.
They have them and the Jets. for
Fucking
some
raw.
fucking
the last
reason.
time we played 'em.
burger.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The Broderick Jones question.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah. Are we
That-
skipping around and coming back?
yeah.
Fantastic.
We're going full circle here.
Outstanding, Ian. Good for you, bringing us back to the actual.
I am
the
slightly
task at
less
hand.
drunk than you. That's not a high bar to clear, though. At any rate, he definitely gets a hat. I'm sorry, right? He definitely gets a hat week 1.
I'm
He
gonna
might
come to
even
Mount
start.
Lebanon if he doesn't. Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
telling you.
I'll be at the game week 1. We can meet up at Heinz Field if you want.
Have you guys actually ever met in person?
No, I
No.
met you. You live in
They're
Oregon.
20
I
minutes
met
away.
Mark-
They haven't met each other.
I've met Mark, who lives in.
We were
Michigan.
supposed to meet up for the World Cup,
Yes,
but
and-
Ian's family had a bit of the neurovirus and that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, you guys had norovirus?
Hey,
That's
there's another
fucking
World
horrible.
Cup.
I
Meet
don't
up for
know.
this World
Yeah.
Cup.
This is the thing, and I've said this before on this show. Ryan lives in the North Hills, and I live in the South Hills.
Right. That's a long way to go in
It is.
Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
I
get it.
I am
I have
sympathetic. Guys,
Ben, who
I
lives in
am
Oregon,
sympathetic.
and Mark,
I truly
who lives
am.
in Michigan before I
But
met
I-
Ryan, who lives on
when
the
I'm-
other side of the river.
When I'm in Pittsburgh, I always try to stay in the South Hills, preferably like close in, because you can just take the T, you can get on
Yes.
the train,
I've done that.
and it's just it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Even though you got to like try and force your way in, like as a fucking train in Tokyo on the way out of Heinz Field, but
Wow.
beyond that, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we done with the Broderick Jones discussion?
Broderick
I don't
Jones
know.
gets a hat. He might start depending on how the preseason goes.
All right. All right.
If it had been back in the, I think you asked me if it had been back in the day where they were allowed contact, we probably would have got more of a sense of how far along
Yeah.
he was and how good he was. But I don't know. I mean, they've got a pretty tough slate of pass rushers. To
yeah.
start the
First
season,
3
too.
weeks are a bitch.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got like Bosa for the 49ers, Myles Garrett for the Browns, and then who's week 3? I don't know. Somebody else who's good.
Yeah, it is. It's
I,
another good rusher.
unless Dan Moore gets hurt, I don't see it, and here's why. This kid is a really, really good run blocker, like ridiculous,
Yes.
like really good.
You're
And it's
talking
just-
Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because he's so fucking powerful.
Mm.
He would pancake dudes regularly in college. You know, and it's the SEC, so it's good players, and he's just like, bye.
Thanks,
get the fuck
Vinny.
outta
Max Crosby, week 3. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, it is the
Raiders.
Raiders.
It
It is the Raiders.
We
This
have quality viewers.
Our
That-
fans are the best, man.
We couldn't
They
do
are.
this without you.
Yeah.
here.
You're
The
all-
Raiders. You know, Johnny and I will be at the Raiders
You're
game.
all watching us live on YouTube.
Johnny and I
on
will
a
be at the Raiders game,
Thursday
and we
night
won't be sober.
in July. You guys are the best. Like,
By the way,
Really?
shout out to Marvin, who I believe is he in the Bahamas tonight?
Bahamas.
He's in the islands. I know that.
Marvin.
So Marvin, we're there, or Melvin. I'm sorry.
Melvin.
Melvin.
Disappointed,
I was
very
like, who?
disappointed you're not here.
I was not the only
yeah.
person who's drunk here. Marvin and Melvin. All right, good.
I
for
know.
you.
What are we doing?
So-
Melvin's gonna kill me for that.
All right, listen. Back to where we were going. This
Yeah.
kid is a really good run blocker. He's not a great pass blocker.
Okay,
He ain't, especially against NFL
But-
level pass
but
rushers.
doesn't this team want to run the ball? Why not use him?
Well, I agree with you. So the way that they will use him is they will dress him as a swing tackle and they will put him in as a 6 offensive lineman. and he will report eligible and roll in and line up outside a tackle, and they bash the shit out of whoever's outside there, and they'll just go, oh, okay, great.
Well,
Fugazi.
Najee, around the edge.
On the edge, Najee. Yeah. Other positions where there's going to be some battles. Any of you guys think Gunnar Olszewski stays on the roster?
Fuck no.
Hopefully not.
Who's going to run the jet sweep?
Fuck you, Ryan. God damn it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right, but I really hate the fact that you're pointing it out.
I think he's going to make the roster somehow.
Fuck you both. God damn it.
I didn't say I was happy about it. I just got a feeling. I don't know why.
Another
that
thing.
Is $2 million of wasted fucking money. $2 million.
CC Derek Watt. But the point is,
Derek Watt's better than that shit.
That's
man.
email lingo for y'all. But yeah, the point is, these new rules on special teams, I think, actually help Gunnar Olszewski because there is zero incentive to take a kickoff anymore. There's zero incentive to take a kickoff.
Why
anymore.
would you?
Okay,
You're right. Yeah.
So
I mean, you kick it short, so it lands into the 5. We'll just fair catch it, and we'll get another 25.
It's going to be one of those. Let's see if we catch them sleeping, and let's actually return it. I mean, that's all that it's going to be.
So your most reliable punt returner, and please do not put Patrick Peterson back there. He was once amazing, but he's slightly younger than me now, and my knees hurt, and I never played football. But the point is, you need a guy like Gunnar Olszewski back there. And I know he messed up against the Patriots. I mean, he's human. We're all human. And I know we shit on the guy, but the guy actually
sucks.
He actually doesn't suck. And I say that I don't agree.
He's a shitty wide receiver who goes down on first contact with arm tackles.
That's fine.
Are you talking about him or Ryan Switzer?
Both.
He's better than Switzer.
Guys to the Patriots.
I think so too.
And you know what? So Belichick had the faith to draft him or sign him or whatever he did. But obviously he didn't stick around because of whatever reason. But I don't think that you put enough faith in anybody other than him as a punt returner. Calvin Austin, more than likely, and I know there's not a lot of
he's an unknown.
He's an unknown, yes.
He is.
He looks really fucking good right now in shorts.
Maybe he's
There's been a lot of guys that look good in shorts. Though. Justin Brown looks good in shorts.
I watched that guy going in and out of his breaks and shorts, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god!
Did you say Tom Selleck?
Yeah, Magnum PI looked good in shorts too, but
you know what? Those were the 1985 shorty shorts.
Oh yeah,
but
I think I still got
with
mine.
a 3-inch inseam.
Yeah,
but like. As much as we make jokes about Gunnar, and I have as well, but like literally, besides the muffed punt against the Patriots, there was no, like, we always remember the bad plays, right? But like, there wasn't any other play that like he had where I was like, oh, this guy isn't worthy of a position or a hat. I don't know.
Like every time he touched the ball on offense, I pretty much thought this guy is not worthy of a fucking spot.
When the defense knows exactly what you're doing, it doesn't fucking matter who's running the ball.
That actually is a valid point.
That's a good segue into Mark's other question.
Our offense sucks donkey balls, so I will agree with you.
Oh God,
from
how
the
does that feel? Agree with me?
Fuck you. But he also sucks. He's talentless.
Did you see this guy
first contact, arm tackle, going down? Sucks. Reminds me of Dree Archer.
Yes. Oh man, Dree was like, yeah, you sneezed on him and he went down.
Yeah. I think they like him, and I think he's gonna make it. I
fuck you both.
Hope I'm wrong. Look at Jen coming in with the interesting tidbit. Yeah. Gunnar has a Great Dane bigger than he is. Well, that's not saying a whole lot, Jen.
That's awesome, Jen. I like to pet dogs, so I'm if the dog happens to be around, I'll be like, hey, what's up, buddy? Let me give you some scratchies and under the chin here. But that doesn't mean that I want him to be a player.
Scratchies and under the chin here.
Goddamn right, I love dogs.
I wonder if his Great Dane is named like Belichick or something.
Yeah,
You
or
know,
Brady.
he played for the Patriots and then fumbled against them. I never trust anyone that played for that fucking
God
organization.
damn right. Exactly.
That's
Fucking
that's
cheater.
exactly it. Man, I don't
So what's
know.
the question, Mark?
Well, the question just simply was, does Gunnar Olszewski make the roster?
Oh,
And
no. The next
No,
question.
the Matt Canada question.
Oh, you want the Canada question? Okay. So I've been thinking about this, and there's been a lot of talk about, obviously he's in the last year of his contract, all those kinds of things. Okay. My
And he
question
sucked.
is, it comes down to this, and we hear this all the time in pro football. Does it come down to coaches coaching or players making plays? In other words, how does Matt Canada possibly in any way remain the offensive coordinator for next year? Is it going to be because of what he does, or is it going to be because of what the players do?
I'll go last. I've talked too much, and I gotta
It's been
pee.
really fun to me. You talking.
Don't tell
so
anybody.
it's been
Don't
great.
tell anyone.
I am going to say that
Because let's say it is Kelvin Austin,
the players could potentially bail him out. Potentially.
and that's exactly where I'm going.
Okay.
Yep.
But here's the thing. He will have to get out of their fucking way for that to happen. He will have to go, oh, wow, this is actually our strength on this team. And I need to call plays to put these guys in a position to make plays. And those plays, at least as it relates to his fucking passing scheme, will still suck. I'm sorry. They still will. They are fucking awful.
Yeah. No, I there's no getting around that. But
it is so frustrating watching him have Deontay Johnson run curls and comebacks over and stop routes over and over and over and over again that he knows have no opportunity for yak. None. Because DJ gets bracketed, corner and a safety. They're like, let him catch the ball. Fuck it. We just want to limit his yards after the catch. You need to get that guy one-on-one, and you need to scheme his ass into a one-on-one position and then throw him the fucking ball.
So let's say Deontay Johnson goes 6 or 7 touchdowns this year. I mean, he had 0 last year.
Right.
You tack on a few more to Pat Freiermuth. You tack on a few more.
I think
for
Pat
George
Freiermuth
Pickens.
is not even like like people talk about Pat Freiermuth like he's like a top 3 tight end in the league. He's like the 3rd best tight end in the AFC North. And
shit,
and
you're
people,
not wrong.
And I know I'm right. And people talk about him like he's fucking awesome. I'm like,
who's second?
Who do you think he is? Chase Claypool.
And
All right,
Juco's
so we got
second.
Mark Andrews.
Andrews is definitely
Andrews, and then Njuko, and then Freiermuth. We thought when
Is Hayden Hurst still a Bengal?
Nah,
No.
he's in Carolina, I think.
No, I like Irv, or what's his fuck is their starter now?
Irving
Irv
no.
Smith. Irv Smith Jr.
I can't remember. Anyway,
Irv
He played for
Smith
the
Jr.
Bengals or not
some fucking guy who's
Vikings.
not
Vikings, that's right.
some guy who's the number 4 tight end in the AFC North.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting to my point, Freiermuth, when he came in, we thought that he was going to be a dynamic route runner. So far, kind of not. It's not. We thought that he was a strong guy, which he was in the weight room in Penn State, and so that they could teach him to block, and he'd be a good blocker and be a benefit in the running game. So far, not happening.
Well,
I'm not even sure he's a top 10 tight end in the league. Probably right about 10, 12-ish.
I think that's fair.
so
I
what
don't-
has to happen in order for him to be in the top 10? Is it just touchdowns? Is it receptions? Is
I
it
think it's
targets?
health.
It's-
He's
it's
had
route running.
concussions.
It's route running.
Yeah.
Middle of
One.
the field.
It's route running, but one,
Yeah,
it's blocking to a certain extent. It's yak. It's being impressive there.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like McDonald was better after the catch than Freiermuth is. He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing
He was.
Freiermuth has, the thing Freiermuth has is he's got a little bit, and I'm not saying he's the same, but a little bit of that Heath Miller ability to be mentally on the same page as his quarterback. So when the
Right.
play breaks
I agree with
down,
that.
knowing where to go to get open to make yourself available for a scrambling quarterback. To
That
throw
should
the
be
ball.
even better this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we hope so anyway.
And
Mm.
you know,
I
we
mean,
used
maybe
to-
when
we
they
used
don't
to
play
joke that,
like
Ben
D1
and-
teams.
Yeah.
What's a
We
D1
used to
team?
joke that like Ben and Heath had that like ESP where it was just
Yeah.
like Ben was like, I'm gonna scramble this way and I know Heath will be there and I'll throw him
Teach
the
it.
ball. And Heath just knew to go there, right? But
Especially on third down. And then Heath
Yeah.
knew where the sticks were.
yes. And
Heath just knew where the fucking
Yeah.
sticks were, and he was like, "Yep,
You know-
all I need to do is get 1 yard past that.
yeah.
It's all good."
And Freiermuth got a little bit of that. And you saw it a little bit with Ben the last year and a little bit
Okay,
with
but
Kenny
Freiermuth
last year.
ain't Heath.
No,
I'm
he's
sorry.
not. He's not. But
He's
he's
not.
got
And you
got
know,
a little bit of that ability to know what the quarterback
I
wants.
agree with
and
that,
try
Ian.
and get there.
I'm on with that.
Okay,
Yep.
so really kind of where I'm going with this, and I wasn't going to bring it up tonight, but apparently I did it, so I'm going to have to finish the point. The Steelers are not that great at the tight end position this year. Okay. They got Freiermuth, who's probably he's definitely a top 15 guy.
Yes.
Might be a top 12 guy. He's not a top 3 guy like Steelers fans seem to think he is. He's not.
No.
Sorry.
No.
He's not.
He's not Travis Kelce.
No,
He's-
he's
fuck
not.
no.
He's not
Shut
in that
up, Ian.
stratosphere.
Shut up.
He's not
Shut
Mark
your mouth.
Andrews.
No.
He's not fucking Mark Andrews.
Well,
okay.
I mean, he got
He's
called
not
like
that good
Baby
yet.
He's
Gronk
not
or
Mike
whatever at Penn
Gesicki.
State. No.
Another
Okay.
Penn Stater.
Yeah, that's a nice.
All I'm
reference.
saying is,
Yeah.
ain't that great yet. Behind him, you have Zach Gentry, who's just a guy. Behind Zach,
He's a
you have
Michigan
Darnell
guy,
Washington, who is, yes, fuck Michigan. You have
though. Muck Fishigan.
Darnell Washington, who is a really good athlete, but you look at his tape and you're like,
Now wait a
God,
minute.
that guy is sloppy. He's awkward.
Are
He's
you
a really good athlete? but
Are you
he's
suggesting?
really super raw?
Are you suggesting that the Steelers won't come out the first week of the season with Washington and Freiermuth at tight ends, and we're just going to plow right down the field, dink and
I would
dunk and
fucking
running?
love that.
I mean, is that what we're? I mean, because that's what I keep hearing.
I would fucking love if Darnell Washington could do enough
Absolutely.
as a
But,
tight end
I mean,
to get a helmet
yeah.
week
Can
one and be that guy who's the number 2 tight end that they bring out and they put him up in run sets, and then he's good enough as a tight end that
Yeah.
the defense doesn't know if he's just going to run block or if he's actually going to run routes. And holy shit, we got to tackle him because he's so goddamn big.
Yeah, let's let this kid actually develop a little bit before we
Let's-
start
let's-
putting him in the
let's-
starting
Wrong.
lineup.
Let's let him play a snap before we
10
decide he's going to be a
touchdowns
fucking
minimum.
all-pro.
Shut
know
up,
what?
Ryan.
Actually, Ryan, I don't know if you know this, but Kenny Pickett played for Pitt, and he was a first-round pick. And this year, he's going to be in the MVP conversation. It's definitely
40
he's going to go
That's
from
like-
maybe.
he's going to go from 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions rookie year
Look at
into
Aaron.
MVP conversation
It's
year 2. It's definitely happening. Definitely, it's in the cards.
I can't
Definitely.
I can't tell you the number of times and during my time there that I heard a coach or personnel person say, well, back then it was 16 games, so you had 4 quarters, but still, you just got to get the 2-2 in those first 4 games. Whatever it takes, just get the 2-2. And if you actually look back on Mike Tomlin's timeline,
Yeah,
in
3
those
and 1.
first 4
The
games.
best years were 3 and 1 in those.
the
first
best
4 games.
years
yeah.
were 3-1, but there
Yeah.
were many years they started 2-2,
Yep.
and we're fine. You know,
Mhm.
like so.
I think that the Steelers need to win a bunch of games early in the season
You-
because
The
their
end
late
is a bitch.
season their
The end
late
is a
season
bitch.
schedule is absolutely
Yeah.
fucking horrible. And there are a couple of games early in the season that worry me a little bit. The first 2 weeks actually don't.
Really?
Wow,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
San Francisco has a great roster. There's absolutely no question. That is a long ass trip. That is a hard trip to make.
Matt Cannon
Like-
is the offensive coordinator, just so you know.
West Coast teams don't traditionally perform.
You're
Well,
not
like
wrong.
games.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong.
No, you're
East
not
Coast
wrong.
teams
Yeah.
do not traditionally perform well on the West Coast either.
Yeah.
So both of those things,
especially West Coast teams at 1 a.m. games in the East Coast.
right? At
Yeah.
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
Yeah, or 1 p.m. What did I say? 1 a.m. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm as drunk as you are, Ben.
Let's go. Let's go. Keep it going.
I'm
Uh,
just
Let's
saying.
go on.
Mark, what was
When
your
you look
question
at
about
that-
Matt Canada? Yanks? I didn't answer it.
Yeah. What's the question? Why does he suck?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
Why does
never-ending
Matt
question.
Canada suck?
No,
Ian?
I
Oh, well, let me
there-
list the
there's
reasons.
Canada. Look, he's in the final year of his contract.
Yes.
All right. So
Mark
if
actually
he-
has notes that he's reading off of because he knew we'd all be too drunk to actually remember the
well,
question.
actually, I wish I had notes.
We got
to be quite
a
honest with you.
script. We got a Casey
Yeah,
script.
he's got a
tonight,
Casey
too.
script.
That's a
We gotta
great
get
idea, dude.
No, I one of the things you hear a lot about is the fact that, does a coach get fired because he's a shitty coach or because his players aren't good enough? And when I look at Canada,
Where did
and
Ben go?
I his device is not connected. Well, that's unfortunate. I just kicked him from the studio.
Okay.
No,
He was too drunk to stay on.
probably. In any case, if the Steelers offense
Shit.
does well, is it more of a sign that Canada has improved greatly, or that the players have made more plays? That's what I'm really looking at.
Yeah, that's a good. And the one thing I thought of when you asked this question originally, and then I forgot about it, and then I remembered it again.
Right.
Because I've been drinking too. Is
What we do here.
exactly yes.
Never
Thank you,
drank ever.
Bradshaw Bourbon for sponsoring our show. We love you. At any rate, Troy Polamalu always talked about, like, after games, and they asked him, "Oh, you made this great play." He's like, Dick LeBeau put me in this great position to make this play, right? He's like,
Right.
like Troy would, for all his talent, always credited his coaches
And his teammates.
teammates. But I think so. I think they work hand in hand together, right? And it's like that the debate about, like, Belichick and Brady and coaches and quarterbacks, right? Like, a good coach can elevate good players. Good players can make a bad coach look slightly better, but
Way
if you're
better.
still
What are you talking about?
well,
Way better.
okay, but if you're still calling, like, high school level plays, if you're calling the same Yankee crossing routes on every 3rd and 8+, like, teams are going to catch on to that. It doesn't matter.
What are you saying, Ian? Are you
You'd
saying
think.
Matt Canada sucks?
It doesn't matter if you have Randy Moss and Jerry Rice out there together at wide receiver. If you're calling the same crossing route every time it's 3rd and 8+, they're going to catch on. Like, opposing defenses are going to catch on to that and figure it out, right? So great players can make bad coaches look slightly better, but
Great players can make mediocre coaches look great.
yes, I agree with that.
I'm just
but
saying.
but also
not
like,
slightly
great-
better, fucking great.
Yes, but great coaches can also elevate mediocre players. Like, look what Brian Dable did with Daniel Jones this year, right? Like, Daniel Jones was like nothing.
It was 1 year. It was
Right,
it's
but he was
1
better.
year.
but he was
No
a
doubt
lot
he
better.
was
He was way better. But
They won a
my-
playoff
my-
game.
My
What's that
thing
like?
is this:
Yeah.
at a certain
Ouch.
point, defensive coordinators get
On
enough
the road.
get enough film to be able to look at that and say, these are your tendencies. This is this guy. Figure him out.
Yep.
And when that happens, when that happens and the player is stifled, right?
Yeah.
If he comes back from that and is still a great player, that's when you know you got somebody really good. So from my standpoint, the New York Giants offense, the jury's still out. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. It's 1 fucking year. I am sorry. Not doing it. Look back at the Baltimore Ravens, the year they won the Super Bowl. They changed offensive coordinators with 4 fucking games left.
Right.
So DC's in the playoffs, and even those last 4 games, had no idea. They had no idea of the tendencies. They were like, fuck, how do I defend this? What do I do? Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, Joe fucking Flacco back there looking like Superman.
Now
He was never an elite quarterback, ever.
Why does that hurt your feelings so
It
much
doesn't hurt
that
my
he had an
feelings. It
amazing
doesn't.
postseason?
I am just saying.
he has Flacco on his dartboard.
I
every
am
morning.
just saying, straight up. People who believe in these short timelines where people are really good for a short timeline. I'm just like, yeah, there's context to that.
But
You need to go back to that and look at the context and then the system, and then Maybe the guy was great. Probably he wasn't. If it's a really short timeline, he
Oh.
wasn't. Joe, we all know the proof is in the pudding. Joe Flacco was not fucking good. All right.
But what
He
is the
wasn't.
but when that new
He was
offensive
good. He
coordinator
wasn't
comes
great
in
or elite.
with 4 weeks left, he's
Nah.
not changing the terminology and stuff.
He did. He changed the offense completely with 4 weeks
Cam
left.
Cameron got fired, right?
The first, yes,
Right.
The first 2 weeks they kind of struggled. They barely made the playoffs. They get in as a 5 seed.
See, to me, that's a credit to the players. Then, if they were able
People
to
keep
pick
saying
up
that shit. I get it. They're like they want to give
offense.
Flacco credit. Oh yeah, new offense and great. You know what? Here's again. I'm going to go back to this. If you're playing against a defense that doesn't have any idea what the fuck you're doing,
absolutely
it's really,
helps,
really hard.
for
Going
sure.
back to Spygate,
Well,
which was an NFL felony. Every
That never
player that
happened.
played for the Steelers
Never happened.
between 2001 and 2004 swears the Patriots were calling out their plays before they ran them.
Yeah.
Before they ran them. All right? If the opposing team
Let's just
knows
look at
what
the
you're going to
tape,
run,
though.
if they know what you're going to run,
nice, Mark.
it's way easier, way fucking easier to play against them.
Yeah.
If
Well,
if they have no fucking idea, well,
Yeah. And I mean,
you're fucked.
In that playoff run, let's not forget, Joe Flacco's biggest strength was that he always had a big arm, right?
Yes.
And he hit a couple long passes. I mean, we always joked
The
and called it
Denver
pass
game.
interference roulette, right?
Yeah.
That it was like you're just going to chuck it deep and hope you either get a catch or a pass interference call. And I mean, I've always called it pass interference roulette was their whole offense. That Denver game was exactly it. It's like they're just going to chuck a couple deep balls and they happen to hit a couple of them for touchdowns. And, but at any rate, back to the point, like, I think Matt Canada's schemes are so bad that, I mean, you got to have an offense that puts players in position to take advantage of to take advantage of their skill sets and do what they do best.
Yeah.
And I don't see Canada as doing that. I see Canada as a guy who wants to run his high school level schemes and be like, you NFL talent, NFL level players are going to run my schemes regardless of what's best for you as a player, rather than being like, oh, I have a guy who's really fucking good at catching deep balls. Maybe we'll throw a couple to him. Or I have a guy who's really good at, contested catches. Let's throw a couple up for him and let George Pickens just beat out the defensive back because he's really fucking good when the ball's in the air. And, he's tall and got long arms. And let's go for it. So yeah. And some of it too, I mean, I think not only Canada, but some of it comes back to Tomlin last year, that Tomlin has been in the league so long and become so turnover averse. Like you hear him talk so much about we got to limit turnovers. We can't turn
Protect
the ball
football,
over.
if you
Protect
will.
the football. Yeah, exactly.
Foosball is the devil.
Pickett came in that first game and he threw 3 interceptions. But some of it was like
Ian, those actually really didn't happen. Just
But-
so
Well,
you
they
know.
happened. I don't know. They were all on
They-
him.
They happened, but some of it was Pickett just being a kind of the brashness of youth, right? That you're
Hey,
just like, I'm in this game. I'm gonna.
He's actually
you know,
never thrown an interception.
I've got a
according to
guy
Sunshine
one-on-one with the
Steelers Twitter.
safety. I'm gonna chuck it down there. Then after that
Well-
game, he's like, you heard the change in dialogue though, right? Like. After that Jets game, Pickett's like, if I've got a guy one-on-one with a safety, I'm going to take a chance. I trust my guys. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, I got to limit my mistakes and not turn the ball over and make the safe play. And I mean, he's got coaches in his ear like, don't turn the fucking ball over, right?
The deep one he threw to Claypool happened right in front of me, and Claypool watched the damn thing.
When
he
that
just stood there and watched it while the
when
DB
that
went up and
kid
got it.
was throwing picks as often as he fucking was. And we had this conversation in season.
Yes.
He needed that. He needed to be told, listen,
Sure.
you need to stop throwing fucking interceptions. You personally are costing us games, because he was. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but I think too, like, how much does Mike Tomlin's turnover aversion limit what the offense does as far as taking
agree.
chances? Like
I don't
it's
know.
a legitimate question to ask. And
Well-
I don't know the
Well, they're
answer
all
to it.
legitimate questions.
Well, I mean, the
Yeah.
offensive coordinator and
it's like,
But
you
the
know,
offensive
why-
coordinator also has high school level schemes. Like I could go watch Central Catholic play, which just hired Ryan Lemeyer, who was a fucking genius at Seneca Valley the last couple of years as their offensive coordinator. I could go watch Central Catholic play football, and I'd see better schemes than what Matt Canada runs out there on Sunday.
I will say this about Matt Canada. He had a good PR strategy by blaming on the organization, right? He blamed it on the organization. Say, well, that's what they want. So, because he might be coaching, no disrespect to Ball State, but he'll be at Ball State next year or in 2024.
Wow.
Or wherever the fuck he is. Yeah, Ben hates Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco's a lot better.
Flacco had some good years.
He's better than
Ben
Ben wants to say.
Casey Kasem, it's about that time. Are you ready?
Yeah, but is Ben around?
Who knows what he's doing? He could be face down in the hallway getting his licked by his dog or something. I don't know.
Face down in the hallway.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Very much.
Ben from Portland, right? Dear Casey.
Oh my God! Wait a minute! Look at that quote.
Ben from Portland writes.
Hold on, I'm leaving that up until he sees it. Ben, look at the screen.
Fuck you, Johnny.
All right.
He knows that's not true. All right, moving on.
Let it rip, Casey.
Casey's Ghost to Coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was July 13th, 1981. Ryan from Pittsburgh writes, Dear Casey, well, I tried to make it Sunday, but I got so damn depressed that I set my sights on Monday, and I got myself undressed. Casey, is this Sister Golden Hair by America? Or is this how I feel when I wake up on game day, knowing that Matt Canada is coordinating this offense? Casey, I don't know about you, but under Matt Canada, and I don't know if you know this, but under Matt Canada, the Steelers have scored 30 points in a game just twice, and the Steelers lost both of those games. For comparison, over the past 2 seasons, the Chiefs and Bills scored at least 30 and 17 times. That's right, Casey. They scored 30 points in half of their games. Both teams are 15-2 in these instances. But don't worry, Casey. Steelers Sunshine Twitter has assured me that I'm sleeping on this offense and that the Steelers offense in 2023 will be a force to be reckoned with. To further my point, over the past 2 seasons, there have been 7 teams that have scored at least 30 points in a game 12 or more times. The combined record for these teams is 88-10. I would like to point out that the Bengals are one of these 7 teams. It's not like they've made it to the Super Bowl and AFC Championship over the past 2 years. I know Joe Burrow is somewhere right now wishing he could be as good as Kenny Pickett. I know I'm sleeping on this offense, so I'm just going to own it. I will not apologize for being a skeptic, knowing that once again, the offensive coordinator is Matt Canada, and they're likely going to be in a lot of those 23-20 affairs. Casey, I don't know about you, but I don't believe in praying you get to 2020. I don't believe in praying you get to 23 points while holding opponents to 20. That sounds like a recipe for 9-8. If the Steelers' offense again stinks, there is no way Matt Canada should return. He shouldn't even be here now. Yes. I guess that's the perks of handing out scholarships like candy. Casey, we got to get rid of him if we want to get back to winning. Well, Ryan, thanks as always for your correspondence. Speaking of winning, moving up 1 spot this week to number 17, here's Santana off their album Z-Bop with Winning.
Man, Casey did some research this week. Wow. Well
Very
done,
nice,
Casey.
Scarps.
Oh, man.
Steve Winwood on that one. That was a fantastic song.
That's right. It was. Oh, my God. It's a great pull. Thanks everybody that listened. Again, we are thoroughly amazed that 15, 16, 17 of you were on this program throughout the whole thing in the
We had some
off
new people,
season,
too.
in the
Thanks for
middle
joining
of
us, dude.
July.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you to the regulars. Thank you to the new people. Everybody, thank you. And thank you, of course, to Deck Roofing Incorporated.
We really
for
do appreciate
sponsoring
appreciate your
the
interaction.
podcast. Absolutely. And of course, thank you to Bradshaw Bourbon. I look forward to the
Look
relationship.
at Ian's empty
You know,
bottle. Look at
I
this
know.
full one that's about to
Ian's
be empty.
Yes, I
I'm
know.
I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
batch is yours, Mark?
I'm only still on 2.
I got a 4 here.
Mine's a 4
I had
also.
I had a
Alright.
5 before.
All right.
Well,
Well,
good. I got a 1 that's not ever getting opened.
well, we'll see what we get sent. Let's just put it that way.
Yep. I know.
Anyway, thanks everybody, and please comment, like, all those good things, and check out the website steelcityblitz.com. And thanks everybody. This is me signing off. And hey, go Steelers.
Fuck you, Johnny. Ravens suck.